question answer session. And before question answer session, actually we also requested NDMA for their as a panelist, but due to some engagement they didn't come. So I will share first about Pakistan journey on anticipatory action, then we will learn from you and also from FAO on social protection. Actually, in Pakistan, we have, I'm representing Welthungerhilfe, a German NGO working in Pakistan since 2005. So we have started anticipatory action in 2019 through Start Network. And the WHH was the first host in Pakistan. And after that, we worked with the German government funding to further scale up this anticipatory action agenda in Pakistan. And with the struggle of the other sector partners like UN, FAO, WFP, FAO, German Red Cross, and OCHA, and WHH, we formed we work with the National Disaster Management Authority, and under the National Disaster Management Authority, we formed a National Coordination Forum on Anticipatory Action. So all UN agencies, 4 UN agencies, and WHH is a member of National Coordination Forum on Anticipatory Action. And further to this, NDMA also they formed subcommittees under the anticipatory action, and WHH is supporting NDMA as a co-lead on triggers working group. FAO is supporting on anticipatory action. WFP is supporting on knowledge management. German Red Cross is also supporting, and OCHA is also supporting on coordination. So we are working on triggers, thresholds, streamlining in Pakistan. Currently we don't have any policy on anticipatory action, so WFP and FAO colleague and WHH and other National Coordination Forum, we're working on anticipatory action framework. So further, Naeem Saab will explain on this. So before this is basically a short journey. For me, further on social protection and other components, Naeem Iqbal from FAO there, he will explain in detail. So I'm moving towards Vietnam colleague. So I want to learn from your country that how Vietnam enhance innovation in community-based approaches, early warning, early action, and multi-stakeholder collaboration to improve disaster resilience. Over.
Thank you. In Vietnam, actually we don't treat disaster risk as one size fits all issue. Our risks are highly regional, from floods in the highland to saltwater intrusion in the Mekong Delta. And to stay ahead, we are focusing on 3 innovative chains. The first one, moving from the weather forecast to impact-based warning. We are upgrading from the simple forecasting to system like a Vietnam disaster monitoring system. The short name in my country, we call it VNDMS. And we are just telling people it's the wilderness. We are identifying which bridge will be underwater and which household must be evacuated. By using the automatic rain goals and integrate the weather system, we deliver the real-time data directly to the local decision maker. And the second one, empowering the first responder, who are the community and rooted the fall on the spot motto. This motto means the command on the spot, force on the spot, supply on the spot, and logistics on the spot. We focus on the community-based disaster risk management. The short name in my country is the CBDRM. The community doesn't just receive help, they map their own risks. They use participatory risk mapping to ensure that the local disaster plan are built by the people who actually live there, not from by the official in an office. And the third one, scaling anticipatory action. The most significant change is acting before the disaster strikes. And we developed anticipatory action SOPs for the 4 major disasters, including storm, flood, drought, and heat. This is a multi-stakeholder effort with the participation of the government from my office, Vietnam Disaster and Dike Management Authority, partner like the FAO, CRS, and other NGO to trigger pre-position financing and support before the first drop of the rain even fall. That's all.
Okay, thank you. It was very comprehensive, and it was also very good that you have developed this SOPs for anticipatory action, which is a very major achievement, I think. And you also discussed about the decision support system. So I want to share that WHH and the other sector partners, we developed decision support system for PDMSN here. So it is providing real-time information for the early warning and also the evacuation. So we will also further learn from your experience, because your early warning is, I think, more advanced and linked with the logistics and supply. So my next question is to Mr. Naeem Iqbal, who is representing FAO Pakistan. So, sir, my question is that what could be the strategic approach for bringing harmonization among various hazard-based anticipatory action models, including thresholds, indicators, triggers, and response interventions in air perspective?
Thank you, Babar. Thank you for your question. I think like whenever we talk about anticipatory action, it reminds me the evolution process of DRR in Pakistan that we have observed starting from after the earthquake of 2005. And before that, our entire approach was like, reactive and response based. After the 2005 earthquake, when we finished our relief and recovery, then we realized like there is a lot more to do. In fact, like before the earthquake, I think it was hardly a year ago when we had this Indian Ocean tsunami experience in the region in the Asia Pacific. And the learning from that catastrophe helped Pakistan to adopt the approach of, the DRR, and then later on, we all learned about how to do the recovery and the rehabilitation, and then the buzzword of, not the buzzword, in fact, the concept of DRR cycle was introduced in Pakistan. It took us like 6 to 7 years to have a harmonized language, understanding, and approach on DRR. The first thing I remember, like 2008 and 9, when we were like having discussion at the national level, the first thing was the simplistic way of, making a common vocabulary. Because whenever we were going to the government and telling them, you have to do the DRR, you have to do the DRM, you have to do the CBDRM, you have to do this and that. So they were quite confused, like who is bringing what. I think the same experience we are having now with the anticipatory action, when the various actors, though they are implementing it with the true letter spirit at the ground level, but the overall, the presentation of the concept still requires a more harmonization. So I think the first step is like having the conceptual level harmonization and the language that we use for anticipatory action. And the second thing is approaches that we are implementing. Like what are the steps, and as he said, like the SOPs for implementing it right from national to the local level. The people who are a bit new to this concept just understand like anticipatory action has 3 building blocks. The first building block is early warning system. Until or unless we do not have a impact-based and robust early warning system, we cannot go for any anticipatory action. And the second thing is like our planning, the planning with the integration with AA approach, as some some colleagues said, like now there is a transition in the world from reactive to proactive, means like before the onset of any crisis situation. So we need to address it so that we could minimize the miseries of the people who will face it, and we minimize the post-disaster impact, which requires a lot of humanitarian resources, which we usually, the government like us, Laos and Vietnam, we sort of reprogram our development funds, and then we go for relief and recovery, which has very short-term in terms of their impact and sustainability. So the second important building block is like the planning and its implementation, and the third building block is the pre-arranged financing for the anticipatory action. Because if you like look at the various anticipatory action models, another approach is like anticipatory action can only be done till date. The the hazard or the risk which can be forecasted a bit earlier. So the hazard or the risk which cannot be forecasted, like for example earthquake, which has a very less lead time, or the tsunami. In my knowledge, there are no models exist at the moment. We are working on that. But floods, drought, somehow flash floods, cyclones, so they have some lead time, and we can plan something in terms of anticipatory action. So the third important building block is having the pre-agreed financing for that, so that if once the trigger, like for example, we get a forecast from Met Department, like in a 7 days time, there will be a cyclone is coming and it has this path and it will impact this coastline. So then we have to take some anticipatory readiness action to prevent our community from that area. Maybe we have to evacuate them. Maybe they have to reinforce their houses or some other anticipatory action. So this sort of the cycle we need to adopt, and for that we in Pakistan at the moment we have like more than 10 flood model, more than 5 drought model, and many others, and maybe like on heat wave we have just started working. So all that models need to harmonize, so that when we start working with the various government stakeholders, so they shall understand what we are talking about and how they have to adopt. Just giving you a simple example, like being FAO and focusing on agriculture and livestock. We in Sindh, we have started 3 years ago, we started working with agriculture and livestock department and helping them to make their contingency plan with AA integrated. So that was a sort of a test case that we did, and that was quite helpful. Again, the challenge is like arranging the finance and channelize it before the onset of the disaster. As you all know, like we do have contingency planning in Pakistan, and whenever there is a disaster occur, we allocate a lot of our domestic resources, donor money for response and recovery. But before the onset of the disaster, for example, if I say like after 15 days there will be a super flood, we do not have any mechanism which could channelize our public financing and ensure it flow to the community level, like to take some preventive measure. So these are the few challenges that we have to, I think, further explore, and harmonization will help us to become a one voice to advocate for pre-agreed financing for anticipatory action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naeem Saab. I have another question to Vietnam colleagues. So, what lesson can inform future programming and strengthening implementation in Vietnam? What are your learnings and how further you can improve this? And also, we want to know about your SOPs, that how it's work. So, we want to know about.
We have 3 lessons learned stand out for the scaling up. The lesson 1 is integrate the anticipatory action into policy, because anticipatory action shouldn't be a special project. If we don't have support from the government, I think maybe it's not success. And we need to integrate this trigger into the official government CBDRM program and the provincial level disaster management plan, so they become SOP. And the lesson 2 is standardize the house. We need clear the SOP at the provincial level. When a warning is triggered, every official must know exactly which fund to tap into and which trust to move without waiting for a meeting. And the last lesson is strengthen the multi-sector bridge. We must break down silos. Future success depends on the linking government coordination with the international humanitarian and expertise and private sector resource. By sharing evidence and learning, we can turn small-scale pilots into the national level resilient. And ultimately, resilience in Vietnam is about moving from the reacting to disaster to managing risk through the local empowerment and smarter technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your detailed answer. I think in Pakistan, as per my information, we also have the same lesson there. So we need we need a policy, we need standardized anticipatory action protocols, triggers, and also the small scale pilots. So now I think I have actually the Laos colleague have presentation, so it's better that if you can. I'm moving towards the question answer session. So if you have any questions, so please you can ask.
Thank you, Babar sir, for facilitating the session. Of course, anticipatory actions are very much needed and must be inbuilt in our work in our projects. So I would like to ask the panelists, what are the operational challenges implementing these anticipatory actions?
So if you can, I think she already explained three lessons learned. So actually if you allow, I can. Actually, as far as the Pakistan is concerned, and Vietnam colleagues also they shared. Actually, for anticipatory action, first we require framework or policy, and which is the government like NDMA and also the PDMAs, because in 18th Amendment now the power shifts to the provincials. So we required a policy or framework which explain each and everything from first date to end. Like anticipatory action is before disaster. If you are doing activities after when the disaster hits, so it's not anticipatory action, it's response. So we need clarity on that. So and for that purpose, thanks to FAO and WFP, we are working on with the National Coordination Forum, and they hire a consultant who is supporting National Disaster Management Authorities to develop the framework. Before their framework, we also WHH under the German government funding, we developed guidelines for NDMA. Now these guidelines are also part of this framework. So the main challenge is that we don't have framework, we don't have standardized triggers, SOPs and guidelines. And we also, we need the third one is flexible funding. Funding is currently, we have the funding issue in Pakistan and globally as well. And for anticipatory action, we require flexible funding. So every organization, they can respond, they can do anticipatory action. If you can answer.
Very quick addition from my side. I think the first and the foremost important pillar is the robust and near to accurate early warning. At the moment, our challenge is the capacity of that, because early warning has few steps. The key critical first step is observation, analysis, as it was mentioned in my colleague's presentation, and then analysis, then the early warning, the forecast, and the dissemination. So the clear distinction between the role of detecting, generating, and making forecasts and the dissemination is still need to be clarified. So I think the authenticity of early warning and you say like the people trust on it is a major challenge.
So we have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, please.
So I have a question with Vietnam that what is the response time, for example, if you are receiving any anticipatory, for example, any disaster alert from the PMD or hydrological department. So what is the anticipatory response time over there? Like for in Pakistan, if we discuss that anticipatory response time is 45 to 60 days, I think. So what is the response time in Vietnam for the anticipatory actions?
So actually, you are asking about the lead time, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Lead time for flood, heat wave, drought. Within lead time, we have to do the anticipatory action.
Actually, it's depend on the time of the disaster. With the flood, actually 1 week before, yeah, we will strict it. And also with storm, maybe it's similar because of when the National Hydrometeorology Center deliver the information for the people, we can strict the as an anticipatory action.
Thank you.
So actually, the lead time is hazard specific. Flood have separate lead time if names can be found further. Drought have separate lead time and heat wave has separate lead time. So it's depend on hazard.
Depend on the hazard.
Just if no one is asking, is that since the funding is declining, and this is the foremost challenge, that funding is required for anticipatory action. So what are the alternatives in absence of funding that we can think of, and we are at the trajectory of declining funding?
Thank you, Asif. This is a very critical question. In fact, before my session, I was sitting in another session in which like Iqbal was there, and she was saying like the damage we have already made to our environment is irreversible in many terms, and now there is no time for mitigation, and the only thing we have to focus on is adaptation. Though I personally disagree with this point of view, because if you recall, during COVID period, with only the lockdown of 2-3 months, so we have irreversible impact globally on the environment, which means if we still continue, adopting approaches which could reduce our carbon emission in the air, means like we can save ourselves and our generation. Yes, globally there is a funding cut, and that's why now we are, pushing for a broader level, adoption of these protocol and SOPs, which means like government need to adopt in its full letter and spirit and the scale. And the second thing is when we talk about we for the past 8 to 10 years we are doing this piloting, sampling, blah blah blah. But I think now we need to channel our public funds for that purpose, so that it could be done on the large scale level.
So, as Naeem Saab mentioned, that actually we are in National Coordination Forum for Pakistan. So we are working with NDMA to develop, we are requesting NDMA to take up this at the government level. They can allocate funds, or at least they have the emergency funds, so they can allocate some funds for the anticipatory action, some percentage. So this is also, I think, the sustainable option, I think.
And another option is you see, we were discussing on that when we were doing the preparation of the session. One aspect is linking our social protection mechanism with anticipatory action, so that whatever we are, for example, if you take the example of BIS, so we are providing some assistance to the community using the poverty parameter. So if we take the risk parameter, then we can use the same framework for supporting the community during our lead time. For example, in the coastal area, if there is a 7 day forecast of cyclone, then I think if the money which we will spend after the impact of cyclone, which will not, make their sustainable change in their life, that can be done before the onset of the cyclone, which means before the cyclone the situation will be normal, people will be in their houses, and you can provide them cash with the dignity, cash or input with the dignity, and they can be more resilient to withstand with the upcoming disaster. So that's an approach that we need to adopt, and we need to focus on our social protection mechanism to be linked with our resilience cycle or framework.
Okay, yes. So this is the last question. I think we have only a few minutes left.
Yeah, my question is what community-based data collection what kind of role the community-based data collection play in the early warning accuracy? And is there any example you have used in your regions, like you have used the GIS or predictive analytics to mitigate the threats, or GIS has supported you in early warning, or
I think you mentioned about GIS in your presentation. So GIS, you are using GIS in every one. So there is a question.
Okay, thank you. The APSSF, I think warning area system meaning yes, warning area system is I know because last time I member in inspection. Now I move to Department of Meteorology and Hydrology only one month. Some activity, I something I not yet join with them, and now I know only have have FAO have many organizations for support for early warning system in Laos. About FAO support for about many things in agriculture and activity, but technique and other methodology and hydrology, because I new want to member there, because ministry in now move together, and every people move in a new office. Thank you.
In terms of your particular question, engaging community in that, like now we do the data collection through enumerator using like Kobo tool, and then it is like feeding into GIS. By putting the multi-layer, scenario building on that, like then we can know, for example, in the case of flood, we can know like where the medium or the large intensity of the flood can go up to, and how much area can be inundated, and how many human settlement can be impacted by this. So this sort of tools, multi-tools are being used, and from that we are building that scenario. And I think Sparko, NDMA, and many other technical agencies are like, joining hand in doing that. A very interesting, I would recommend everyone to see like what WHH and CHESV has developed in PDMA, in PUC, the integrated decision support system, which provides you a very good picture of various flood scenario, which I have seen yesterday, and many other things that you can see, and you can base your planning on that.
Thank you very much, Naeem Saab. Actually, for sustainability perspective, we are like moving towards that each and everything developed by NGOs, government on anticipatory action is available on IDSS. We are also contingency planning, because every year organizations are developing contingency planning at the provincial and district level, and when the project is finished, so no, there's no any. So what we are doing currently with PDMSN, we develop a library on IDSS, Integrated Decision Support System, on which all documents, contingency planning, hazard, impact studies, and each and everything is available. So now we are also requesting other sector partners to provide documents which they have developed, so at least each and everything is available on IDSS, and government have all the information, and in future if any organization wants to contribute, so at least they have information, and this will also avoid duplication resources efforts. So now I'm concluding the session. So the basic, I think, the basic purpose and the lesson learned is that we need to work jointly, because climate change is not a one country issue, and the anticipatory action, early warning, we need collaborative efforts, we need synergies, we need to work jointly. All countries like Vietnam and Laos is there, so other Asian countries, Asia Pacific countries. So I think in Asia, a few of the countries, they have most developed the early warning system available. It's like Australia and also the India as well. So they also have the social protection system available, like India has developed the social protection system. So we need to learn from the countries, like Asian countries, Asia Pacific, and also adopt in our country. So this is the basic, like the lesson learned and way forward of this session. Thank you very much for the colleagues from Laos, Vietnam, and also Naeem FAO. Thank you very much for your participation, and I think it is a very good session, at least for my learning. I learned a lot from you, both of them. Thank you very much for the participants.
So we're presenting some awards to our panelists. The first one goes to Lieutenant Iqbal, sir, please.